This is the first of two videos on the electrical system of this Honda ATC 110. This is a 1979. The video will also apply to the 1980s. They're identical electrically. And if you have a Honda 90, most of it will still apply too, so you can still watch this video. Also, there are a lot of schematics out on the internet. If you want to Google one, you can find one, and it'll show all the wires. I'll go ahead and put it up on the screen now. I might make a few comments. All the wires are color-coded, which is really nice. And the color coding is described on the schematic, and I'll describe it in the video too. You'll notice in the ignition switch, it shows a E, that stands for earth, like ground. And there's another symbol on there, little triangles. They look a little bit like diodes, but what they are is they're the electrical connectors where you can unplug the wires. You see them in the headlight, and you see them in a couple other places. There's going to be two videos. The first one's going to be on the lighting, and the second one is going to be on the ignition systems. So if you already know how the lighting works, or if you're not interested in seeing it, you can click on this link here, and it'll take you to the other video, which is on the ignition systems. Okay, well, if you're still here, then I guess you wanted to see the part on the lighting. I'm going to go through in quite a bit of detail in the beginning, and then I'm going to summarize. I'll just show where the wires go. So if that's all you really want to see, go ahead and click on this link here, and it'll jump ahead to just a summary. You'll notice one thing about this ATC, it doesn't have a battery, so it's going to have to produce its own electricity. So that might be a good place to start looking at the system. We'll take a look at the electricity producing unit, and that electricity producing unit is right here underneath the starter. Okay, so let's get a close-up of that starter. Okay, I'm going to take the starter off now. And I'm going to do that so I can show you the electrical producing unit. And I'll take it off real quick. Under the starter, there is the starter basket. That'll come off too. Okay, you'll notice that this electrical producing unit is composed of two parts. One part here that turns, you see it rotates, and the other part here that's stationary. Okay, so you have the rotating part of the electrical producing unit, and you have the stationary part of the electrical producing unit. Well, that's a mouthful, isn't it? Well, this rotating part of the electrical producing unit, you notice it's magnetic. There's permanent magnets in there. And that's what actually gets things started. It drives it. So it's not to get this confused with generators or alternators. Let's call it something with a magnet. How about a magneto? All right, we'll call this electrical producing unit a magneto. That's one word. That's a lot better. And the part that rotates, let's call it a rotator. Or let's short it to rotor. That sounds like a good word. Okay, we'll make up another word. And the stationary part here, stationary, let's call it a stator. Okay, so we have a magneto composed of a rotor and a stator. Alright, cut me some slack. I'm an old man, I can tell corny jokes. Plus, I don't get paid for this. I'm just doing it to try to help you guys out. Do you remember from your science classes where if you passed a permanent magnet across a piece of wire and you had a ammeter or a galvanometer attached across the wire, you could see that it generated a little bit of electricity? It just generates it when you pass the magnet across. If you just hold it there, it doesn't generate it. But the actual movement, the magnetic field or lines of flux moving across the wire are what generates electricity. Then if you take the wire and you wind it around in a circle to where when you pass the magnet across it, it crosses a whole bunch of these wires, a whole bunch of sections of the wire. It creates a greater amount of electricity. So if you wrap it around a circle and make a coil, then it'll generate more electricity. So that's what's actually happening here. This rotor is a permanent magnet. It is passing by. These are coils in the stator. The stator is composed of a bunch of coils around here. Okay, so the coil is a coil of wire. It's grounded. I think it's grounded to this bolt here. And one end is grounded, and the other end is this yellow wire, also the black one for the ignition. But the yellow wire for the lights comes out. Okay, and that wire has a voltage on it, and that's going to go directly to your lights. Okay, you can see here it goes into a wiring harness, and then it disappears into the frame. Alright, so I'm going to go to the front of the engine now, where the headlight is, and to see the rest of it. Actually, I'm going to go over to the right side of the engine. Okay, the wire is inside the frame and comes out in this thick wiring harness here, where some other wires join up with it. It goes through the wiring harness, and then it comes out here, and it goes into the bottom of the headlight, the bottom of the headlight, whatever it's called, the headlight frame. Okay, if you look in the headlight now, you see this thick wiring harness has 4 wires in it. There's a yellow one, that's the one that came from the magneto. There's a brown wire, a black wire, and a green wire. Here's the green one. Okay, the black wire is for the ignition, so we're not going to be concerned with that right now. This yellow wire, it goes up to the switch. It's kind of nice because this here is all original. No one's cut any wires and put any wire nuts on it or anything. So this is all stock. This switch has seen its better days, but it's okay for demonstration purposes. This is the hot wire that comes from the magneto. Okay, and it goes to the switch. The switch has 2 positions, off, or 3 positions: off, high beam, and low beam. And if it's in the off position, there's nothing touching this yellow wire in the switch. When it's in the on position, the brown wire is connected, and either the blue or the white, depending on whether you have the high beam or the low beam. The brown one goes all the way through the frame and back out for the tail light. So if you turn on high, the tail light is on, the brown one is connected. If you turn on low, the brown one is connected. Just the difference between high and low is one of them will connect the white wire, one will connect the blue wire. So we have these 3 wires going to the headlight. We have the ground wire, and we have the white, the low beam, and the blue high beam coming from the switch. So the ground wire will be connected to the side of the light bulb. And let me take this off. Okay. Alright, the white wire goes through one of these connections, and the blue wire goes to the other connection. Okay, inside this bulb there's 2 filaments because it's a high and a low beam. And so whichever one is hot, the white or the blue will activate one of these filaments, and then it'll go through, and these two are tied together and go to ground. So they'll go to the side middle of this light bulb here. Okay, put this in. There has one little bump on the bottom of it, and that goes through to this part right here. Okay, we put this on. These little bumps here are staggered, so they'll only go one way. Okay, that's so much for the front. Now this brown wire here from the switch, it goes back into the wiring harness, goes through the frame and comes out the back. So I'm going to go to the back and we'll take a look at the tail light. Okay, you'll see the tail light. You'll see the brown wire comes out of the wiring harness right here on the bottom. And it goes in here and it separates into two wires. For some reason the green wire goes to the tail light. And I don't know why, but that's the way it was intended to be, because that's the way it is in the schematic. Okay, then there's a brown wire here and there's a connection for an extra light. Okay, then this black wire this time, and this goes over and is grounded against the grab bar. Okay, that's pretty much the end of the description of the headlight wiring. I'm going to go through a real quick summary now. Okay, now to summarize the lighting system of this ATC, I'll show where the wires run. Okay. I won't really give any explanation of how anything works. There's two wires coming out of the magneto. There's a black one and a yellow one. The black one's for the ignition, the yellow one is for the lighting. And the yellow one goes, they both go into this harness, little wiring harness. It goes inside the frame, then it joins up with some other wires into a larger wiring harness. And then it comes out in the front in the headlight. And then we'll go over there next and take a look. Okay, over here in the headlight, you'll see a larger wiring harness, and it has 4 wires in it. Okay, one of them is the yellow wire that came out of the magneto. Okay, it goes up to the light switch. This light switch has seen its better days. The original one, I'm going to have to change it. Okay, for the light switch, there's 3 wires coming out of it. The brown wire goes back into the wiring harness and back to the tail light. The blue and white wire go down to the headlight switch, to the headlight itself. And there's also a green wire. The green is ground. And the green wire goes into this connection, and it goes into the wiring harness too. And it's grounded somewhere inside the frame. Okay. Coming out of the frame in the back is that brown wire for the tail light. And here's the end of the wiring harness. The brown wire comes out. There's a connection here. And then it connects for some reason to a green wire. I don't know why they use green. Green is normally for ground. But the green wire goes into the tail light. And then it comes over here with a black wire and is grounded to the grab bar.
Also tied in here is another one, a brown wire again. It's an extra connection, and this was intended to be that way because that's the way it was in the schematics. So you could have another taillight here or something. Alright, that's the summary. The next video is for the ignition.